Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the easiest chord progression of all time, and we're going to even play a couple classic rock songs that go along with it. Okay, so this could be your very first time playing the guitar. This would be a good lesson for you to watch. So first we're going to talk about some of the things about the guitar that you need to know right before playing it. Okay, I'm going to assume that your guitar is in tune. If you don't know how to tune your guitar, you can go watch our other video on how to tune your guitar. So now that we're in tune, let's talk about some of the fundamental things about guitar and playing the guitar. First of all, we've got this thing called the fretboard. It's covered in these metal bars that are called frets. I'm sure you've heard of that before. But the whole area behind each fret is the number that it corresponds with. So this area is fret 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We call the open strings open. That's when we're not pushing anything down, just like that. And that's often called the 0 fret, which is kind of like what someone's already pushing down there for you. Okay, so we've got, today we're only going to be dealing in fret 2, which is this area right here. Okay, this whole, and you're going to be coming around with your hand from under the neck of the guitar rather than over. So the strings are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first string being the skinniest and the 6th string being the thickest at the bottom here. The names of those strings, if you haven't learned those already from the tuning video, is E, A, D, G, B, and E. Alright, so let's talk about your right hand, if you're a right-handed guitarist that is. We're going to be holding our pick with our thumb and our forefinger. Okay, so I put my thumb over it, kind of make a tomahawk shape there, and then put your pointer finger or your first finger behind it, and we want to leave these fingers out in the open, either hanging down or balled up in a fist like this. Either way doesn't matter to me. You'll see a lot of the time I play with my fingers hanging down, so I get this kind of connection to the guitar, or this light planting as someone might call it. But you want that pick facing or pointing at the guitar just like you see here, okay? And then when we strum, which we'll be doing today because we're just playing chords, which is more of a rhythm guitar thing, you're going to be strumming from your elbow, not your wrist. We want our wrist to be straight but not tight. We don't want to be flexing it. So we want it to be loose, but you can kind of see this swinging pendulum motion, okay? But a lot of people think at first that guitar is a lot of this. There's not much leverage from your wrist. Like I said, you want to be loose with your wrist, but have most of the movement coming from your elbow. Another thing, now let's go back to our left hand. We want to play all the notes that we push down on our fingertips. We don't want to lay flat like this. We want to roll around, so there's kind of a curvature to our hands like this. Okay, you've seen people play the guitar that kind of looks like a spider-like motion going over the frets. That's how you want it to be. Now, to get on our fingertips, we need to have pretty short nails. Okay, so if your fingernails, as you're trying to play these chords, are hitting the wood of the fretboard, that's not a good thing. Okay, so, and guys out there, if your nails are that long, then you probably should be thinking about your hygiene a little bit more. I'm only kidding, but I have had female students come with long, fingernails, and it doesn't really work that well. So at least with your left hand, you gotta take them down to a pretty short length. Okay, so now we got all that stuff out of the way, let's learn our first chord. So the first chord we're going to play is E minor, and that is notated capital E with a little M for minor. Sounds like this, looks like this. Notice I'm only using my second and my third finger. Again, that's how we number our fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. So second and third finger on the 5th and 4th string. So second finger goes on the 5th string, the A string. And let's just push that one down first. Should sound like this. And then my third finger, right below it in the same second fret, sounds like that. Now, as I'm playing those notes, it's a good rule of thumb to kind of butt up against the fret that you're playing in. So you pretend there's kind of a wall here, and I want to play as far up to that fret as I can without going on top of it or over it. You'll notice kind of a plunky sound, a dull sound, or even if I get further, kind of a buzzy sound. That's not what you want, or you might end up hitting the wrong note. Now I'm in the third fret technically, okay? So we go up against that, but not over the top of it or past it. Got my thumb supporting on the back of the neck. I can't tell you a specific place where that should be exactly because everyone's hand shape is a little bit different, but somewhere from the middle of the back of the neck to the top of the fretboard is fine for this chord. And once we have those pushed down, we've got our fingers rolled up, we're on our fingertips, and we're going to just strum all the strings, all 6 of the strings. So I take my pick, go downward motion, or a downstroke, and that's E minor. Now, go through all the strings individually to make sure that everything's sounding good, because you might get tricked and hear something like this. But when you go through them, notice this note that my third finger is pushing down was muted, and I only realized that as I was going through the strings separately. Okay, so there's E minor. Now this next chord, A7, written capital A with a 7, looks like this. It's also 2 notes in the second fret. So we're going to take those fingers that we had before, we're going to move our middle finger down to where our ring finger was on the D string, or the 4th string, and then our third finger to the B string, or 2nd string. So you notice we have our 3rd string open in between both of those notes. You can see that little area there. Now this chord, we don't strum the low E string with our pick. We want to start with the A string, the namesake of the chord, and we're only going to strum those 5 strings going down from that. So now I've got those in the right place. Here goes the strum for A7. And if you're a little more advanced, you might roll your thumb over the top to mute this low E string, just so in case if I accidentally hit it, no problem. The note decays so quickly that we don't even hear it. And there's A7. Back to E minor. This is the next part of your practice. You want to just start switching between the chords back and forth. Don't have to worry about any rhythm or time or tempo. You're just trying to plan the finger switches that you're going to make in advance. So I might just switch back and forth like that. So I'm memorizing these by their shape and by their name. E minor, kind of saying it in my head. A7, trying to remember that that's what those fingers correspond with that name. Alright, so once you get those down, you've memorized them, you think they sound pretty good, then we're going to put them in actual chord progression. So a chord progression is just a sequence of chords put into a song, okay? Basically like a mini mock song. So our song is going to be 4 measures long, and a measure is just a section of music split up into 4 beats. Okay, so 4/4 is a tempo of music. That's the same tempo that you hear for most of the music that you guys listen to. It's the most common time. It even is called that, common time. And it's what sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. And you should keep repeating those beats. And so for our first measure of 4 beats, we're going to have E minor, as well as our second measure, 4 more beats of E minor. Then A7 for 4 beats, and another A7 for 4 more beats. So we have a total of 8 beats on E minor, 8 beats on A7. Let me just show you what that would sound like before you play along with me. So I could count myself in at the tempo that I want to go at, and you want to start at a really slow tempo. So I'd go 1, 2, tapping my foot, 3, 4, strum, 1, 2, 3, 4, second measure, 1, 2, 3, in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth measure, A7, 2, 3, 4. And to sound more resolved, we can end on the chord that we started with, which is E minor. Most songs do that. The chord that they start with, they also end with it. It gives us that feeling of resolution or kind of a finish to it. Okay, so now that we have how we're going to play it, you guys can pick any speed you want, as slow or as fast as you want, depending on how new this is to you or how quickly you pick it up or how much you practice it. So a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on E minor. And another thing you'll want to do when you have more time on your own is practice this over and over. So that measure, those 4 measures will just keep repeating as a loop, a sequence, until you can play it for, I mean, imagine how long a song is. 3.5, 4 minutes, some songs are even longer. So you'll have to gain the stamina to be able to play through a whole song like that. Because you can imagine eventually you'll be playing an hour-long concert or a 3-hour-long concert of stuff like this. So you want to build up your stamina by playing along in time the whole time. Now, promise you there was a couple classic rock songs that go along with these chords. The first one is Pink Floyd, Breathe, off the album Dark Side of the Moon. Okay, so here we go. So that sequence is a little bit different. It goes E minor, A7, E minor, A7. Okay, so whereas before we were 2 measures of E minor, 2 measures of A7. Another one is the Tom Petty song Last Dance with Mary Jane. And it's the chorus of the song. Last dance with Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. Alright, there you have it. The easiest chord progression in the world, E minor to A7. You guys go practice that up and come back next time for some more stuff. So make sure to comment with any questions or concerns about that if I didn't answer something thoroughly enough. And then be sure to subscribe and like this video if you don't mind. Thank you. We'll see you next time.